By the third month, Jungkook's condition was deteriorating rapidly. He spent most of his mornings while Taehyung was at work and Kookie was at school, huddled over the bathroom toilet, weak and shivering. His body was rejecting food entirely now. He survived on pure willpower and the high dosage painkillers Dr. Min had prescribed. Yet, on Cookie's school sports day, Jungkook refused to stay home. He sat in the bleachers, wearing a thick scarf and a heavy coat despite the mild weather, cheering loudly as Kookie ran the three-legged race with Taehyung. Taehyung had been reluctant to join, but Cookie's big pleading eyes had won him over. Watching his husband and son laugh as they tumbled across the finish line, Jungkook felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. They will be okay, he thought, a soft, tearful smile touching his lips. Taehyung loves him. He will protect him when I'm gone. Every night during that final month, Jungkook would sit by Cookie's bedside, reading him the story of the lonely whale. His voice was growing weaker, more breathless, but he put all the love in his soul into every word. And the whale found his family, Dada? Kookie asked one night, his eyes heavy with sleep as he snuggled into his blankets. Yes, my love, Jungkook whispered, brushing a stray lock of hair from his son's forehead. The whale found his family. And even when the ocean is big and dark, and even if they can't see each other, they can always hear each other's song. Because love doesn't disappear, Kookie. It stays in the water. It stays in your heart forever. Will you always sing to me, Dada? Jungkook's breath hitched. A heavy tear fell onto the storybook page, turning the blue ink into a blurred smear. He leaned down, pressing a long, desperate kiss to Cookie's cheek. Always, my beautiful boy, always, Dada loves you more than the stars in the sky. When Jungkook walked out of the bedroom, he found Taehyung standing in the hallway. Taehyung was looking at him with a strange, intense expression, a mixture of confusion, guilt, and a lingering warmth that he had tried so hard to suppress for 90 days. Being forced to live with Jungkook, to share meals, to watch him be a magnificent father had slowly cracked the icy shell Taehyung had built around his heart. The superficial excitement he felt for Chewan had begun to pale in comparison to the deep historical roots of his life with Jungkook. He had started to remember why he fell in love with this man in the first place, his selflessness, his courage, his boundless capacity to love. Jungkook, Taehyung called out softly as Jungkook walked past him. Jungkook stopped, but he didn't turn around. He couldn't. His body was failing him. He could feel the cold hand of death gripping his chest tightly tonight. The 3 months are up tomorrow, Taehyung. I will have the signed papers ready for you on the table by evening. You don't have to come home early. With that, Jungkook walked into the guest room, shutting the door. It was the last conversation they would ever have. The irritation Taehyung had felt at the beginning of the 3 months was completely gone, replaced by a growing sense of panic. He realized that the thought of Jungkook signing the papers and disappearing forever didn't make him feel happy or relieved anymore. It made him feel terrified. The next morning at the office of Kim and Associates, the atmosphere was charged with a heavy, oppressive weight. Taehyung sat at his massive desk, but he wasn't looking at the blueprints spread across the surface. He was looking at a silver-framed photograph he had secretly taken out of his drawer, a picture of him and Jungkook on their wedding day, laughing under a canopy of white lilies. The realization had been creeping up on him for weeks, but today, on the final day of their agreement, it hit him with the force of a tidal wave. He didn't want a divorce. He didn't love Han Chae-won. The infatuation he had felt was nothing but a cowardly escape from the weight of his own adult responsibilities, a fleeting distraction from a temporary rut in his marriage. He had mistaken peace for boredom and routine for a cage. For the past 3 months, despite his initial irritation, he had felt more grounded, more truly happy than he had in years. The quiet moments with Kookie, the sight of Jungkook waiting for him at the door, the sheer unconditional warmth of the home they had built, that was his real life. Everything else was a shadow. He looked at the divorce papers sitting on his desk. The realization of what he was about to throw away filled him with a sudden, suffocating panic. What have I done? He thought, his chest heaving as he stood up from his chair. How could I have been so blind, so cruel? He had spent a year torturing the man who had given up everything for him, a man who, even when faced with betrayal, only asked for 3 months to protect their son's heart. Jungkook's quiet dignity, his gentle smiles through his tears over the last 90 days, it wasn't weakness, it was the highest form of love. I need to go home, Taehyung whispered to the empty room. I need to beg for his forgiveness. Taehyung stepped out of his office, his face set with a fierce determination. Han Chae-won was standing by the assistant's desk, holding a folder, looking up at him with a smile. Mr. Kim, the clients from the redevelopment project are waiting in the conference room. Cancel it, Chae-won. Taehyung cut her off, his voice firm, authoritative, yet completely lacking any of the warmth he used to give her. She blinked, confused. Sir, this is a major meeting. Chae-won, we need to talk, Taehyung said, stopping in front of her. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time in months, he saw her clearly, just a colleague, a person who had no place in his heart. Our arrangement, whatever this thing was between us, it's over. It ends today. Jaewon's smile vanished, her face turning pale. Taehyung, what are you talking about? You said you were getting the divorce papers signed tonight. You said you were unhappy. I was a fool, Taehyung said, his voice cracking with a sudden, overwhelming emotion. I was blind and I was selfish. I don't love you, Chaewon. I never did. I was just choosing you to escape a reality I was too cowardly to face. My husband, Jungkook, is my life. He is my home. I am going back to him, and I will spend the rest of my days trying to earn back the right to be his husband. Taehyung bowed slightly, a formal, distant gesture. I think it's best if you transfer to our branch office in Busan. I will authorize a promotion and a raise for you, but I cannot see you anymore. I am sorry for leading you on. Without waiting for her reply, without looking at the tears beginning to well up in her eyes, Taehyung turned on his heel and walked briskly toward the elevators. He felt a profound sense of relief washing over him, a weight lifting from his shoulders. He was finally doing the right thing. The flower shop down the street from the apartment was filled with the sweet, intoxicating scent of spring. Taehyung stood before the floral displays, his eyes scanning the arrangements until they landed on a massive, breathtaking bouquet of fresh white lilies and red roses, a perfect fusion of their wedding day and the burning love he felt renewed in his chest. Give me this one, please, Taehyung said to the florist, his voice bright, filled with a boyish excitement he hadn't felt in a decade. He also stopped by a high-end toy store, purchasing a massive, intricate Lego set that Kookie had been begging for, and a small, beautifully wrapped velvet box containing a simple platinum band, a replacement for the wedding ring he had foolishly stopped wearing months ago. Inside the box, he had tucked a small handwritten card. It read, Jungkook, I am sorry for the frost. I am sorry for being blind. Thank you for giving me 90 days to wake up from my nightmare. I don't want the divorce. I want you. I want us forever. Please forgive your foolish Taehyung. Driving home through the evening traffic, Taehyung found himself tapping his fingers against the steering wheel, a wide, genuine smile stretching across his face. The sky was painting itself in brilliant shades of purple and orange. He felt like a young boy going on his very first date. He couldn't wait to see Jungkook's face. He couldn't wait to pull him into his arms, to hold him tightly, and to spend the rest of his life making up for the pain he had caused. Just wait for me, Jungkookie, he murmured, looking at the bouquet on the passenger seat. I am coming home. The apartment building was quiet when Taehyung arrived. He parked the car, gathered the massive bouquet of lilies, the Lego box, and the small velvet case in his arms, and took the elevator up to the penthouse floor. He stood outside the heavy oak door, his heart fluttering with a nervous anticipation. He balanced the gifts in one arm, fished out his keys, and unlocked the door. Jungkook, Kookie, I'm home, Taehyung called out, his voice echoing through the hallway. There was no response. The apartment was entirely dark, save for the faint purple twilight filtering through the grand living room windows. The silence was absolute, heavy, almost physical. It wasn't the peaceful silence of a resting home. It was a cold, hollow emptiness that sent an immediate, icy shiver down Taehyung's spine. Kookie? Taehyung called out again, stepping into the entryway. He set the Lego set and the flowers down on the console table. Jungkook. He walked into the living room. Everything was pristine, perfectly clean, just as Jungkook always kept it. He checked Cookie's room first. The little boy wasn't there. Then he remembered that Jungkook had arranged for Kookie to stay the weekend at his grandmother's house so they could finalize the paperwork in peace. Taehyung walked down the quiet hallway toward the master bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. A faint, cool breeze was blowing from inside, fluttering the sheer white curtains. Jungkook, Taehyung said softly, pushing the door open. By the third month, Jungkook's condition was deteriorating rapidly. He spent most of his mornings, while Taehyung was at work and Kookie was at school, huddled over the bathroom toilet, weak and shivering. His body was rejecting food entirely now. He survived on pure willpower and the high dosage painkillers Dr. Min had prescribed. Yet, on Cookie's school sports day, Jungkook refused to stay home. He sat in the bleachers, wearing a thick scarf and a heavy coat despite the mild weather, cheering loudly as Kookie ran the three-legged race with Taehyung. Taehyung had been reluctant to join, but Cookie's big pleading eyes had won him over. Watching his husband and son laugh as they tumbled across the finish line, Jungkook felt a profound sense of peace wash over him. Taehyung reached out, his hand gently grasping Jungkook's shoulder to shake him awake. The moment his fingers pressed into the fabric, his smile froze. Jungkook was ice cold, not the cold of a person who had been out in the rain, but a stiff, unnatural, freezing cold that radiated deep from within his flesh. Panic, sharp and terrifying, seized Taehyung's throat. Jungkook, Jungkook, this isn't funny. Wake up. He violently pulled Jungkook over, turning him onto his back. Jungkook's face was stark white, his lips a faint, terrible shade of blue. His large, beautiful doe eyes were closed, his long eyelashes casting long shadows against his hollow cheeks. He wasn't breathing. There was no rise and fall of his chest. His body was completely limp, rigid with the early stages of rigor mortis. No, no, no. Jungkook, Jungkook, Taehyung screamed, his voice fracturing into a horrific shriek. He grabbed Jungkook's face, slapping his cheeks gently, his hands shaking so violently he could barely hold them straight. He pressed his ear against Jungkook's chest. Nothing, no heartbeat, just a vast, terrifying void. As he frantically lifted Jungkook's hands, trying to rub them warm, he noticed a thick, white envelope gripped tightly in Jungkook's rigid fingers. The front of the envelope had his name written on it in Jungkook's beautiful, neat, cursive handwriting, "To my Taehyung." Taehyung's breath came in ragged, hyperventilating gasps. A dark, suffocating dread filled the room. With trembling, clumsy fingers, he pried the envelope from Jungkook's cold grip and tore it open. The letter read, "To my beloved Taehyung, if you are reading this, it means my 90 days have officially run out and I have finally fallen asleep for the last time. I am sorry for lying to you, Tae. The day you slid those divorce papers across the table and told me you wanted a divorce because you were bored of me. That was the same day I had returned from the hospital. The doctor told me that I have stage IV gastric cancer. It had spread everywhere. He gave me 3 months left to live. When you told me you wanted to leave, my heart shattered, but I realized something. If I let you go then, I would die alone as an ex-husband, and our Kookie would spend his whole life remembering the bitter, angry breakup of his parents. I didn't want that for him, and selfishly, I didn't want that for myself. That's why I asked for 3 months. I didn't want your money or your apartment, Tay. I just wanted to spend the last 90 days of my life on this earth with the man I have loved since I was 18 years old. I wanted to build a vault of happy memories for Kookie so he knows his family was real, that we loved him fiercely. I saw you in the cafe that day with your secretary. I saw how happy you looked, how you laughed. It hurt so much, Tay, but I forgive you. I forgave you the moment I saw you run the race with Kookie on his sports day. I saw the warmth come back into your eyes during these months, and that was enough for me. Even if it was just an act for our son, thank you for being my husband for a little bit longer. The signed divorce papers are in the living room drawer. You are free now, my love. You can live your life according to your wishes without the burden of a husband you grew tired of. You can marry the person who makes your heart beat fast again. But please, I beg of you, take care of our Kookie. He is so small, Tay. He doesn't understand death yet. Tell him Dada had to go become a star in the sky to watch over him. Give him the love of both a mother and a father. Don't let him feel lonely. Protect his beautiful smile. My body is so tired now, Tay. The pain is too big. I am going to sleep now. Do not feel guilty and do not cry for me. I chose this path because I wanted my final breaths to be taken under the roof of the home we built together. I still love you. I loved you in the spring of our youth. I loved you in the winter of our silence. And I will love you across the stars until the universe ends. Goodbye, my beautiful Taehyung. Be happy. Your Jungkookie. Taehyung's world collapsed into absolute darkness. The paper slipped from his fingers, fluttering to the floor. No, no, Jungkook, Jungkook, please. Taehyung roared, a sound of pure, unadulterated agony that ripped from the deepest caverns of his soul. He threw himself over Jungkook's lifeless body, wrapping his arms around him, pulling the cold, fragile frame against his chest. He rocked back and forth on the bed, burying his face in Jungkook's neck, weeping so violently his entire body convulsed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jungkook. I didn't want the divorce. I love you. I came home to stay. Open your eyes, please. Look at the flowers. Look at the ring. Taehyung begged, his voice dissolving into frantic, breathless whimpers. He kissed Jungkook's cold lips, his cheeks, his eyes, trying to pour his own life force into the dead body, but the lips remained unresponsive, cold, and still. He got panicked, his mind completely fracturing. He gathered Jungkook in his arms, lifting the light, wasted body off the bed. He ran out of the apartment, down the hallway, screaming for help, drove like a madman through the city streets to the emergency room of Seoul National University Hospital, praying for a miracle that he knew in his heart was already impossible. The emergency room was a blur of bright white lights, shouting doctors, and the cold clanging of medical equipment. Taehyung was pushed back into the waiting area by two security guards as a team of doctors swarmed around Jungkook's body. He stood against the wall, his clothes stained with Jungkook's tears and the ghost of his scent, his eyes wide, unblinking, staring at the closed double doors of the trauma bay. He was trembling so violently he could barely stand. 10 minutes later, the doors opened. A senior physician stepped out, pulling his mask down. It was Dr. Min, the man who had delivered the diagnosis 3 months prior. He looked at Taehyung with a profound, heavy sorrow. Are you Kim Taehyung? The doctor asked quietly. Taehyung rushed forward, grabbing the doctor's coat sleeves. My husband. Is he okay? Fix him, please. Do the surgery. Give him whatever medicine he needs. I have money. I have everything. Just save him. Dr. Min gently but firmly removed Taehyung's hands from his coat. He let out a long, heavy sigh. Mr. Kim, please calm down. Your husband. Jeon Jungkook. He is dead. He was already gone before you arrived at the hospital. Taehyung shook his head frantically, backing away. No, no, you're lying. He was just sleeping. He wrote me a letter. He was waiting for me. Mr. Kim, listen to me, Dr. Min said, his voice dropping into a stern yet compassionate tone. 3 months ago, I diagnosed him with terminal cancer. I told him he needed urgent, immediate hospitalization and palliative surgery to manage his pain and possibly give him a few more weeks, but he refused. He begged me not to tell anyone, especially not his family. The doctor's eyes filled with tears as he recalled the memory. He told me he had a husband and a 5-year-old son, and he wanted to spend the last 90 days of his life being a normal father and a loving husband at home, not a dying patient hooked up to tubes in a cold room. He chose to endure an unimaginable, horrific amount of physical pain just to give you and your son a happy memory. We did everything we could tonight, but he was gone. I am so sorry for your loss. The word struck Taehyung like a physical hammer, bringing him to his knees on the cold linoleum floor of the hospital waiting room. He chose to endure an unimaginable amount of physical pain just to give you a happy memory. Taehyung buried his face in his hands, his loud, agonizing sobs echoing through the sterile corridors. The weight of his guilt, the sheer, crushing reality of his mistake, was a phantom that would haunt him until the day he died. He had thought Jungkook was dragging out the marriage out of pettiness or spite. In reality, Jungkook was dying in silence, sacrificing his last drops of life to protect the very man who had betrayed him. 5 years later, the silver grass of Jeju Island danced under a bright, clear blue sky. The ocean waves crashed rhythmically against the black basalt rocks, spraying a fine, cool mist into the air. A 10-year-old Kookie stood at the edge of the cliff, his long coat fluttering in the wind. He had grown tall, possessing the sharp, handsome features of his Appa Taehyung, but his eyes, large, expressive, and deeply gentle, were completely his Dada Jungkook's. Behind him stood Taehyung. The 5 years had aged him significantly. Strands of grey now shot through his dark hair, and deep, permanent lines of sorrow were etched around his eyes. He lived a quiet, reclusive life now. The firm was run by partners. Taehyung's entire existence was dedicated to one single purpose, fulfilling the promise he had made to a ghost. He had raised Kookie with a devotion so fierce, an outpouring of love so profound, that the boy had grown up happy, strong, and deeply secure. Taehyung stepped forward, placing a warm hand on his son's shoulder. In his other hand, he carried a beautiful bouquet of fresh white lilies. "Are you ready, Kookie?" Taeyang asked, his voice low, gentle. "Yes, Appa," the boy replied, looking up with a soft smile. Together, they walked down to the water's edge. Kookie took the lilies from Taehyung's hand. One by one, he gently tossed the white flowers into the churning deep blue ocean, watching them float away on the crest of the waves. "Dada," Kookie called out to the open sea, his voice clear and brave. "I got an A on my art project today, and I still remember the story of the lonely whale. I can hear your song in the water, Dada. I love you." Taeyang closed his eyes, a single silent tear slipping down his cheek. He reached into his pocket, his fingers wrapping around the platinum wedding band he had never stopped wearing since that fateful night. He looked out into the vast, infinite horizon where the sky met the sea. He could still feel the coldness of that bedroom, the weight of the letter in his hands, the burning, eternal flame of his regret. But as the ocean breeze washed over him, carrying the sweet scent of the lilies, he felt a faint, ghostly warmth brush against his cheek, like the soft, forgiving touch of a hand he had lost long ago. "I took care of him, JK," Taehyung whispered into the wind, his heart breaking and healing all at once. "I gave him all the love in the world. I will see you soon, my love. Wait for me." Far out at sea, the white lilies floated away, disappearing into the golden light of the setting sun, carrying the memory of a love that death could corrupt but could never truly destroy.